You think making money is about hard work, about a great idea. You are wrong. Billionaires don't follow the rules. They architect systems that exploit human nature, technology, and inertia. Ignoring this isn't ambitious, it's costly. Today, we expose the 12 hidden mechanics behind every empire. We start now. Number 12. The invisible subscription. You sign up for a free trial. You forget, 6 months later, that 9.99 is draining your account like a slow leak. You don't notice the drop. This isn't laziness. It's frictionless enrollment. The barrier to entry is zero. The barrier to exit is high. Think about that cloud storage you never use, or the premium app you opened once. It's a psychological anchor. You tell yourself, I might need it later. That faint, nagging guilt keeps the payment going. Your move here is to perform a financial audit once a month. Open your bank statement. Search for any recurring charge over $5. If you can't name its exact utility in 3 seconds, cancel it immediately. Zero hesitation. Number 11. Regulatory arbitrage. This is where the smart money hides. While everyone else fights over the same crowded market, billionaires look at the map of the world, or the map of the law, and find the gaps. Imagine a new technology, too fast for current laws, too complex for regulators to understand immediately. They pour capital in before the rules change. They build the infrastructure while everyone else is still debating ethics. It feels dirty because, sometimes, it is. But it's legal exploitation of temporal lag. They are operating in the gray zone between innovation and legislation. When you see a sector suddenly explode, don't ask what the product is. Ask, what regulation is lagging behind? Then, find the company that positioned itself perfectly to exploit that gap for the next 18 months. Number 10. The data moat. We talk about network effects. That's kindergarten stuff. The real moat is proprietary data. Not more data, but unique data nobody else can get. Think about the sensor readings from millions of proprietary devices, or the specific purchasing patterns of a hyper-niche consumer group. That data becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They feed it to their AI, the AI gets better recommendations. The recommendations lead to more sales, which generates more unique data. It's a feedback loop that becomes mathematically impossible for a competitor to enter. You can copy the product. You cannot copy the history of every interaction your users have ever had. If you are building anything, don't focus on the user interface. Focus on the data transaction. How can every interaction create a unique, non-replicable asset for you? Make every click a brick in your wall. Number 9. The artificial scarcity multiplier. This is common in luxury goods, but it's now weaponized in digital spaces. Scarcity drives demand, but real scarcity is expensive. Artificial scarcity is cheap. Think about limited edition drops, the clock ticking down on a SaaS feature update, the invite-only beta access. They aren't selling a product, they are selling access to a restricted environment. The anxiety of missing out, FOMO, is a direct, exploitable chemical reaction in the brain. They trigger the dopamine spike without needing to produce more inventory. Next time you see a countdown timer, stop. Ask yourself, what happens if I wait 24 hours? Usually, the answer is nothing significant. But the pressure forces the immediate purchase. Moving on, the next tier deals with inertia and cognitive load. Number 8. The lock-in ecosystem. This is the digital equivalent of building a house with proprietary screws. You buy the drill, then you need the battery, then you need the specific charger for that battery. You don't switch because the switching cost, time, the hassle, the loss of accumulated history is too high. You are trapped by convenience. It's not just software. It's hardware integration. It's procedural integration. It's the way your entire workflow is now dependent on one vendor's specific API. When evaluating any new tool, immediately ask, if I hate their customer service next year, how painful is it to leave? If the answer involves weeks of migration, you are already paying their ransom. Number 7. The complacency tax. This is the silent killer of mid-sized businesses. They achieve success, they get comfortable, They automate the old processes instead of inventing the new ones. Billionaires never stop iterating, even when profitable. They view current revenue as fuel for the next disruption, not a reward for past performance. You see a market leader coasting. That's not stability. That's a target painted on their back. They are paying a tax on their own success. Cost of not cannibalizing themselves first. If your core product hasn't changed significantly in 3 years, you are already paying the complacency tax. Dedicate 20% of your team's time to projects that actively try to make your main revenue stream obsolete. Number 6. The free funnel. We touched on friction earlier, but this is about the top of the funnel. The product that seems free is actually the most expensive thing you will ever buy. It's the massive, resource-heavy content library, the industry-leading open-source tool, the incredible free tier of software. They are attracting millions of users who require zero upfront capital from the billionaire. They are farming attention and filtering for the 0.1% who convert to high-value customers or enterprise contracts. They use the free users to test, gather data, and build brand dominance. If you are using a free service that requires significant time investment, you are the product being tested. The real value is extracted when they identify which users are desperate enough to pay for the premium escape hatch. And now, we move into the truly structural mechanics, the ones that shape entire economies. Number 5. Asset inflation leveraging. This isn't about owning stock. This is about owning the scarce asset that everyone needs to participate in the economy. Real estate in prime locations. Critical infrastructure. The patents on foundational technology. When central banks print money, the value of fiat currency drops, but the value of finite, tangible assets skyrockets. The billionaire is already holding the assets that appreciate against inflation. Their debt remains cheap because it's measured in the depreciating currency. Their assets appreciate in real terms. They are borrowing against future inflation. If your net worth is primarily in cash or standard wages, you are losing a slow-motion war against this mechanism every single day. You must own the scarce thing. Number 4. Lobbying as R&D. Forget Silicon Valley office. The real research and development happens in Washington, Brussels, or relevant capital cities. Billionaires don't just adapt to regulations, they write them. It's not bribery. It's strategic influence. They fund the think tanks. They draft the legislation. They hire the former regulators. They ensure the playing field is tilted exactly where their existing moat is strongest. You see a new safety standard passed. You think it protects consumers. They know it requires $50 million in specialized equipment only they possess to comply with. Compliance becomes the barrier to entry. When you see a major industry policy shift, trace the funding back 3 years. You will find the fingerprints of the entity that stood to gain the most from that specific constraint. Number 3. The optionality premium. This is pure portfolio theory applied ruthlessly. Billionaires don't bet on one outcome. They structure their businesses so that any outcome benefits them. They invest in multiple, often contradictory, paths simultaneously. They own the oil and the solar panel manufacturer. They own the communication platform and the primary content creators on it. If market A booms, they win. If market B collapses and requires government bailout, they win by owning the debt or the distressed assets. They are insulated from failure because failure in one sector feeds success in another. The sensory anchor here is the cold clarity of knowing you have multiple exit ramps, regardless of the traffic jam ahead. When analyzing an opportunity, don't ask, will this succeed? Ask, if this fails spectacularly, what secondary asset does this failure create value for? Number 2. The attention capture engine. This is the core of the modern fortune. Attention is the only truly finite resource left. Everything else, labor, capital, raw materials, can be scaled. Attention cannot. These models are designed to maximize screen time, not user satisfaction. They use intermittent variable rewards, unpredictable notification, the slightly better piece of content that appears next, to keep you scrolling. This isn't a product feature. It's a deliberate neurological hijacking. The platform becomes the environment where all social and economic transactions happen. If you're not on the platform, you don't exist socially or commercially. The moment you feel the phantom vibration of your phone in your pocket, you are proving this model works. You are paying with your focus. The tactic here is brutal. Identify the single most addictive mechanism in your competitor's product. Then, build something equally or slightly more compelling that directs traffic away from them and into your walled garden. And now, the mechanism that underpins everything else. The one that allows capital to flow upward with zero resistance. Number 1. The perpetual debt refinancing loop. This is the bedrock of generational wealth. It's not about earning money. It's about never having to spend your own. A normal person takes a loan, pays it down with earned income, and then saves cash. A billionaire takes a loan against an appreciating asset, uses that cash to buy another appreciating asset, and then refinances the first loan before it matures, using the increased value of the asset as collateral. They are using the bank's money, then the market's money, secured by assets the market keeps valuing higher. They never touch the principal. They live off the yield, or they simply borrow against the growth. The sweat on your palms when you see a mortgage statement? That's the feeling of being on the wrong side of this loop. They feel nothing because their liabilities are always dwarfed by their appreciating collateral. Your immediate move: stop viewing debt as a penalty. View it as leverage against an asset you already own, but only if that asset is deflation-proof, meaning it's something scarce, like proprietary data or critical real estate, not just a depreciating car. We have looked under the hood. These aren't accidental successes, they are engineered outcomes. The common thread isn't genius. It's systemic exploitation of human cognitive blind spots and regulatory lag. They build walls, not just products. They own the ground beneath the market. You cannot beat them by working harder within their system. You beat them by understanding the architecture they've built and finding the single load-bearing column that, if removed, forces the entire structure to shift. If you enjoy content like that, remember to subscribe for more.